Hey, everybody, buddy. Welcome to Coffee Talks. My name is Russ Tellup. I am the host of Trauma Talks Live, which is a podcast we do every week where we talk about trauma and the effects it has on our nervous system. And Coffee Talks is just kind of a few times a week when I'm kind of feeling the itch. I'll jump online and just pick a topic and chat with you guys. This is all live, so if you're wanting to chat with me, you're welcome to jump on. I'll be monitoring the chat for anybody who has any questions or anything like that. Also, I guess you guys saw that graphic on the way in for the new book. It has been released. And let me see if I can pull that up on Amazon here. Powered Grief Journey, 23 stories that carve a new path forward. It was released last Sunday. Right now we're at about 47 reviews, 5 stars. It's fantastic. We really want to get that above 100. Once we get that above 100, it kind of helps the algorithm and helps the book get recommended to more people. And right now you can get it for free on Kindle Unlimited. It's completely free on Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to go check that out, go please. If you're already a member of Kindle Unlimited, or if you want to join, I think it's like $13, but there's a free trial too. So you can always go check that book out, The Empowered Grief Journey. Let me show you what the cover looks like here. All right, there you go. So this is it right here. And there you go. It's pretty cool. My chapter is chapter 12. And this is Shalem. She's one of the other authors. I was just reading her chapter last night. Mine is chapter 12. Here's my bio. So when I sat down to write this, I had really no idea what I was going to write about. Chris, a friend of mine, reached out and asked if I'd be a part of the anthology, and I thought, man, I wouldn't know what to write about. I don't feel like I really have much grief in my life. I've lost people in my life, and I grieve them, but I didn't feel like it was anything extraordinary or anything like that. So he suggested maybe I write about the loss that you feel or the grief that you go through after severing a trauma bond, which was a great idea. Turn a little more light. It was a great idea. So I sat down with it, and as I started to write, my brain just took over. I can't explain it, but I ended up writing about my dad. My father was very abusive, mentally, emotionally, physically. He was a monster. He did terrible things to my brothers and I. I have a brother who he adopted when he married my stepmother, my first stepmother, Derek, and he was horrible to him as well. He was horrible to his stepchildren. After with his third wife, he was just a not a great person, not someone you would think of grieving, not someone you would think of having any sorrow for losing, and I didn't. I'm just switching over to the live so I can check out and make sure nobody's. That's not it. One second, guys. I'm just trying to pull up this so I can see if anybody's chatting, because I'm not seeing it in my. Here we go. All right. I didn't. In fact, when he died, we all felt like the world had gotten a little better. And I know it's a horrible thing to say after someone's death. I kept it to myself. Other members of my family did not. They went straight to the internet and, let everyone know what kind of person he was. And I mean, that's their process. That's their process. I didn't feel comfortable with that. I thought it was wrong. I don't think stooping to their level was going to do anybody any good, right? So I kind of bottled it up. I didn't worry about it too much. It never came up in conversation with any of the family members. It never came up with my brother and I. Very rarely would it come up in conversations if something related. But a couple years later, I was watching TV, and I was watching a Netflix comedy special for, let me get his name. because I never remember his name. Fluffy. If you guys know who Fluffy is, throw it in the Gabriel Iglesias. So his father was a mariachi and lived in Mexico. You never met him. He basically, his mom got pregnant and he left them, and she was left to raise him on her own. So after he became famous, several years later, he's on tour, and this little man walks up and introduces himself and says, "Oh, I'm sorry." Walked up to a security, introduced himself as his father. So they came back and said, "Your father's outside." And he's like, "What?" So he's like, "Tell him to piss off." So they tell him to go away. But he left a phone number with the security office. So a couple days later, he calls his father. They make an arrangement to meet for lunch or dinner or something like that. He was really kind of like, how dare this guy even come around, And of course he comes around when he's famous. So they sit down for dinner, and the dad just kind of is quiet. He just kind of sits there very quiet and listens to everything that Gabriel has to say. And some of those things were not nice. He's like, you left us, you screwed up big portions of my life as a result, and all this stuff and all this damage you did. And his dad just sat and listened. And then he ends up, hold on one sec, guys. He ends up at the end just looking at Gabriel. He doesn't offer any excuses. He doesn't offer any, this is why. He just says, "I'm sorry." And Gabriel kind of blew it off. But then, eventually over time, they've reconciled their relationship, and now they have a good relationship. He says he still keeps them at an arm's distance, but, they get along and they can meet for holidays, and he's met his kids and things of that nature. And that's when I realized, I broke into tears watching all this. That's when I realized that I'd never got that opportunity to grieve my father. I never had the opportunity to confront my father. I never had the opportunity for him to listen and just say, "I'm sorry." Not that I'm sorry is necessary. Not that I'm sorry is even really good in most cases, because a lot of times people use it as an excuse to get out of trouble. But when it's genuine, when there's genuine empathy and there's genuine, they genuinely feel bad for what they've done. They can feel the pain that you're feeling because of what they've done. I know when I've done things to people that were wrong, right? I felt that pain coming from them, and it hurts me too. Now, the book continues on into my journey and my healing and everything that I've done since then. But it's a really, really interesting book. And then the other authors, there's 23 of them. Let's go to the table of contents here. So it's fantastic. The foreword was written by Teresa Sims. She was another one of Chris's podcast guests. Her part is just absolutely heart-wrenching. I mean, the whole thing, everything in here is, it's cool because it starts off with that grief, and that grief is tough. Nobody wants to go through grief. It's not fun. But then it goes through their transformation, and it goes through their journey afterwards, and how they were able to heal from that, and eventually what brought them into the healing space themselves. Most of the people in this book, I think all of the people in this book, are a grief coach or acceptance coach or some type of coach themselves, a healer themselves. So this brought them to that space. So it's really, really cool to read these stories. And trigger warning, some of them are tough to get through, man. Some of you're probably going to need some tissues when you're going through this book. But I think it's worth it. So nobody joined, no worries. We got to chat about the book a little bit. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to put them in the comments after this goes on, after we're offline. Got to get the words out after we're offline, and I'll answer them as I get a chance. And big thing coming up shortly as we're looking at the end of December, beginning of January for the Men's Healing Breakfast here in Colorado Springs. You're welcome to come from wherever you like, but I'm mainly putting it together for people who are local because it's not going to be streaming. Although maybe I will stream it. That's not a bad idea. Stream the whole thing. Anyway, that'll be around end of December, beginning of January, just after Christmas, maybe in between the New Year's. But we're planning that. That'll be at 7625 North Union Boulevard. And we've got some speakers. We've got Frank Sinclair's on board to come and speak. He's a motivational speaker, local guy here in Colorado Springs. I've got some invites out to some other guys that I'm still waiting to hear back from. And this will be a men's only breakfast. This is, we want a space that is welcoming, open, and safe for guys to be open and honest. So that's what that breakfast will all be about. So as we get closer and I've got a solid date and more information about it, it will be completely free. So you guys locally just come in, have breakfast, fellowship. Let's talk about trauma and let's help you start your journeys too. So love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.